We repeat some of the points which have been told yesterday. Two things are there: knowledge of the experience and memory. Knowledge of the experience and memory. Self is the support of this experience of the knowledge as well as the memory. Support is not void. He says, don't think if you are having some experience with sunya, void, you are having the experience. Support is not void as held by Buddhists. To refute them. Then, in what manner self imagines? He says that everything outside and inside are the imaginations of the mind. So, he is asking the question. He accepted the opponent. In what manner self imagines? With the mind turned outward, Lord imagined diverse forms, both permanent, that are elements, and impermanent, that are the appearances. A serpent on the rope, a silver on the mother pearl, are the apparent, impermanent. And permanent things, it says they are the elements. So, here when he says Lord, he is not different from Atman. In the second stanza, he told, I am Atma Brahma. The consciousness which is within you is no other than Brahman. So whether he uses Lord or God or Almighty, whatever it may be, it only comes to the Atman, the self, the luminous self, which each individual is possessing, but without ignorance. This much you have to understand. But without ignorance. Ignorance is the cause of everything. Whenever we talk luminous self, he is beyond all three bodies: causal body, subtle body, and gross body. So don't mix it with the body consciousness whenever we talk self or Lord. When mind turned inward, it imagines all the longings, dharma, adharma, raga, dvesha, righteousness, unrighteousness, and attachment, malice. Outward objects are used in relative world. Like the potter thinks in mind and creates inside the mind, imagines the part inside the mind, and he makes it and it gets manifested. So, the Lord creates the righteousness and unrighteousness, dharma and adharma. What is the injunctions to be followed by the scriptures? And without taking the support, the individual self, because of the I and mine attachment, it will be doing adharma. That is not, the scriptures have not, they have, vidhi is not there, that is scriptures, injunction is not there. But the individual, because of his attachment to I and mine and the worldly objects and this body, etc., he does all the unrighteous things, that which is not told by the scriptures. Because of the impressions that he has been carrying since many births. That is so. Longings, all these are created by the mind. They are already there in the mind, it gets manifested. Then, again the opponent is asking, the dream objects are unreal. We see the same part next day and use it as long as it exists. So how do you say outside objects are unreal? Then he says, imagination is there, chitta kala. As long as you imagine a thing, it may be outside or inside, it is existing. So, a particular person is attached to a thing, he imagines that it gives happiness. Afterwards, he finds fault, and he gets detached himself from that particular object, and his imagination of that particular object is erased, and his imagination also stops. Out of sight, out of mind. Though outside they touch 2 points, in the relative plane, we see an object with the eyes, and what I have seen yesterday, the same thing I am seeing today. That is touching 2 points. Though they touch 2 points of time, they are imaginary. So, all imaginations, everything outside or inside, it is only the mind. When it is get attached to a thing, he thinks happiness is coming from that. When he gets detached, he gives up. A thing which he likes so much, that itself he gives up. That we see in day-to-day life. The illustration of dream given for unreality of waking states holds good, he says. How? Jagrad avastha mithya dushyatva swapnavat. The waking state is unreal because you are the seer. As you see a dream and you say it is unreal. You see a part, but you never say, I am the part. So you are the seer, you are detached. A subject can never be an object can never be a subject. You are always the subject. Even in the waking state, you are the witness. You are the seer. So he says, the logic we have given holds good for the unreality of waking objects. So, now he is going to tell the difference of imaginations is due to sense organs. Sense organs. That he is going to tell today. Yesterday we have finished up to the 14th Karika. Now we are going to the 15th one. In the dream and in the waking state, the objects we see are unreal. Page 371. Waking objects are manifested, dream objects are not manifested. So this division is not possible. Waking is real. Again he puts a question. The opponent is again asking. We see the waking state, in the waking state the objects gets manifested. Not so in the dream. So how can you say in the relative plane the waking objects are unreal? The answer is given by the Karika. Avyakta eva ye antastu sputa eva cha ye bahihi kalpita eva te sarve visheshastu indriyantare. The objects that seem to be manifested within the mind and those that seem to be manifested without are all mere imaginations. Their distinction being the difference in the sense organs. That is the answer given. Now, the dream objects are in the mind, so they cannot manifest. Waking objects are outside the mind, so they get manifested. But even when an outside object is there, if we are not attached to it, you say, I don't want. I have given up. So the attachment, where it is? Not in the object. The object is not giving any happiness. The imagination in the mind is giving the happiness. So at times you take some of the objects, at times you reject the some of the objects. If everything is real outside, why you are not attached to the thing? All 24 hours. In day only 24 hours are there. If you say that particular thing is real in outside, then get attached to it 24 hours. You ask somebody, I am going to give you $1 lakh. Don't sleep for 1 month. Do you think he will agree? Huh? Never agrees. Why? He gives up all the outside objects, gives the attachment to the gross body and goes to the dream. And again, dream body he gives up and goes to sleep. Because the real happiness is there, not in the money or outside. This we can, as an intellect, as a discriminative person, we can very easily understand these things. That's why he says, they are manifested, they are all mental vibrations. Manaspandanameva cha. You are getting the highest happiness in the sleep. If you want to get it in the waking state, you have to cleanse the mind, remove all the vibrations of the mind. Only the vibrations, the impressions of the mind, through them you are acting. The actions that you are doing is because of your mind. Imaginary only, the manifestation and unmanifestation is due to sense organs. It is due to sense organs. One is inside, one is outside. Mind is inside. The eye seems to be outside, that's all. But you are the seer. You are not the object. Is due to sense organs which are inside and outside. So reality and unreality cannot be fit or proper. Telling that objects are real, we see. Even the unreal things, this is seen. In the unreal things, this is seen means even in the dream, at times you feel this is real and this is unreal. That he means to say. Now he is experiencing, now he is explaining this sloka words. The words that have come in the Karika, he is explaining. Now, but what is all this explanation? This is by sub-commentator. Sub-commentator.
The word spandana is being used here. Now, is the spandana that is being used here equal to what we call vritti?
Vritti is there, but the oscillations of the vritti, vibrations in the vritti is called spandana.
Regarding the word spandana, we are using the meaning vibration.
Vibration.
But there is sometimes translators are using the meaning pulsation.
Oh, acha. But that I have not seen.
Yeah.
Pulsation.
Pulsation use చేయొచ్చా అడుగుతున్నాను.
But what is the meaning of pulsation means?
Many times the translators, when they come to spandana, they translate it as
హృదయ
pulsation.
స్పందన అంటే
Oh, acha. Pulsation.
హృదయ స్పందన అంటే మనం
That is, but you see, in the heart, there is expansion and contraction. But here, Swami Vivekananda gives an example. There is a pond, and it is in the middle of a forest. The bottom of the pond we can see. Water is crystal clear, no waves in it. But you put a small pebble in it, wave starts. So the waves, the vibrations, that is called spandana. A single imagination disturbs the whole family, whole lineage, whole kingdom. Single impression, single vibration. Illustration we gave Ravana. Ravana is attached to other ladies. Because of that he has to die. All his family members, brothers, all his kingdom, everything is washed out. So, now you have to understand which words fit for the vibrations or oscillations.
here spandana means more appropriately vibration is better.
Could we use the word oscillation?
Yes.
Oscillation we can use.
Is better.
Oscillation is better. Because pulsation belongs to the heart. And it expands and contracts. But here his mind is not expanding and contracting. It is going out.
One more thing regarding. Then when we say vritti, vritti would relate then to the name and form in the chitta.
Yes.
Yes. While the oscillation, what I'm asking is the relationship between spandana and vritti. What is the relation?
See, the mind is divided into 4 parts. The sankalpa, vikalpa are the oscillations are in the mind. The determining factor is called intellect. Remembering portion is called chitta. So, whenever you say oscillations, they are in the mind portion. Whole thing is only one thing. Depending on its varied characteristics are the actions, we are dividing it. So, the spandana or the vibrations or the sankalpa vikalpa belongs to the mind portion. Whether shall I do it or not? Whether shall I do it or not? For this also an illustration we gave in our previous talks. A man had been to some satsang. He heard a lot about the dispassion. And early morning, he is coming home on the road, and suddenly he stopped in the middle of the road and started thinking, shall I leave the house or not? Whether I am having so much of dispassion or not, what shall I do? He forgot about the outside. Then the sweeper is coming, because early morning the sweeper clears the road. Dear gentleman, go to one side. So it flashed. So simply oscillation will not do. I have to take a determination. Whether this side or that side. Whether house or to the ashram. So the determining factor is called intellect. So we can say the vibrations and oscillations are in the mind.
In the Agama Prakarana,
Hmm.
when we discuss the subject of the mantra Om,
Hmm.
it was discussed, first of all, from the point of view of form, then later it was discussed from the point of view of name,
Ah.
name and form. Can we say that the relationship between Spandana and Vritti is like the relationship between the name and the form?
Name and form, you see, name is the sound,
Yeah.
and the form belongs to the object.
Yeah.
So, the impression or the vasana, we can say that is, it is as experience or remembrance, it is there. And because of that particular impression, because of the attachment to a particular object of that particular impression, you are doing and your mind is getting vibrated. Is it not? So, in the relative plane, we can say the vibration belongs to the objects. The name belongs to the impression. So, these both things go together. You cannot separate the name and form from particular object. Highly impossible.
ఆయన అంటున్నారు స్పందనకి వృత్తికి సంబంధం ఉందా లేదా అని అడుగుతున్నారు.
No, no. Is it we can, just like name and form.
That's what Swamiji is
This-
asking, whether can be spandana said as name and vritti can be said as form.
No, no. Spandana is a form and vritti is name. Because so many impressions you are having in the mind. This is done. You can compare it. In comparing, there is no wrong. Actually, we cannot separate the name and form. In the same way, but some impressions are there, they are getting manifested, some are not manifested. Is it that? So those which manifest they get attached to the object. Then the question of comes the name and form. So interrelation is there already. And now, when he says Om, it is the sound. It is the name of Brahman. And here there is no object. The Brahman is not an object, but it is formless. As we experience so many things in day-to-day life, formless things, hunger, thirst, air, space, the happiness and sorrow, so the mind experiences even the formless things. In the same way, constantly hearing the scriptures and reflecting on the scriptures, the mind should take the impression of Brahman, should take the vritti or the form, because constantly we are doing it. Suppose if you take a sweet object, the noun sweetness is there, but we cannot explain what sweetness is. But you have experience, mind has taken a form. In the same way, here by constantly hearing and by reflecting on the subject, easily we can have the form that is called Brahmakara Vritti. What happens when we see an object outside? In the same impression, there are two divisions. Phalavyapti, Vrittivyapti, they say. I have seen an object, part, and that particular impression I got in my mind. So, two things are there when we see the object. But now, you are the subject and you are the object. So the division is not there. Only the mind has to take the impression, form of the Brahman, and it merges. That's all. What is imagined inside the mind is not manifested. That is clear. The reason is Manayiti. He is giving now explaining this stanza. The objects that seem to be unmanifested within the mind and those that seem to be manifested without are all imaginations of the mind. That's what he says. So the commentator says, Yedyapi antaravyaktatvam bhavanam manovasana matra abhivyaktanam. Though all the impressions are inside and they are not manifested, the objects are not manifested, manovasana matra, they are only staying as impressions in the mind, and abhivyaktanam sputatvam va bahi, but impression is in the mind. So you are imagining, say, I wanted a particular object. You are imagining. So you work for it. When you get it, you feel happy. First it was there in the mind, and then it is manifested. So, abhivyaktanam sputatvam va bhaishikshuradi indriyantare vishesho nasau bhedanam astitva kruta swapnepi. He says, the impression is already in the mind, in the form of a desire, in the form of a desire kamana. And in the mind, because it is only in the form of impression, it is not manifested. But outside, it is getting manifested. Chakshuradi indiyantre visheshaha. We see the object outside with the eyes, but inside we imagine. Not much of difference. Nasau bedhanam astitva krataha swapnevi tatha darshanat. So he says, what is imagined inside the mind is not manifested, that is clear. The reason is given, manaha. Since we see the objects with eyes, they are not unreal. This point is refuted now. The opponent says, we are seeing the objects outside. We are using them. We feel happy. How can you say it is unreal? That particular point of the opponent is refuting. Nasau Vedanam astitva kratah swapnepi tatha darshanat. How? Even after accepting that everything is unreal, in dream, some are clear and some are unclear. Adjective manifestation cannot prove that waking is real. The adjective you have used the manifestation. By that you cannot prove that the waking objects are real. We have seen with the eyes. So, many times I told, you give an object to a baby, say 2-3 years old, a boy, he plays with it, he breaks it, and again afterwards, when we ask, where is the car that we have given? No. He says, what happened? He has separated. We gave him a good car, looking very nice, attracting colors for the eyes, but he plays with it and he breaks it. Wheels somewhere, upper, the dome somewhere, steering somewhere, mission somewhere. Where is the car? He says, no. Here, the 5 elements have formed this body. 5 elements. Separate these things and see what is the support for it. When they get together, you are seeing the gross body and the subtle body. You separate them. What is the support? That is yourself. Because you cannot deny your existence. That existence is Atman, that is Brahman. Even after accepting that everything is unreal in dream, some are clear and some are unclear. The objective manifestation cannot prove that waking state is real. Nasau bedhanam astitva kutaha swapnepi tatha darshanat. Then how? Kim tarhi? How this difference of adjective manifesting is cleared? How you answer this manifesting? For this, he is explaining the 4th part of the stanza, Visheshastu Indriyantare. Because of the sense organs, one sense organ is inside, that's why the mind, it is not manifesting the objects. Another sense organ is the eyes, they are outside, that's why the object gets manifested. That's all. Indriyantara kruta eva, because of the difference in the sense organs. In dream they are inside and they are mental impressions. They are not clear manifestations, but waking objects are clear because of the contact with the eyes, etc. That is the distinction or difference. But unreality is same. Because you are the seer, you are the witness. The logic caused, the logic used is correct, it says, ataha. अतः कल्पिता एव जागृत भावा अपि स्वप्न भाववत इति सिद्धम. With the logic that which we have given, the waking objects are unreal because you are the seer, as you are a seer in the dream. So he says the logic is correct. Again and again, the opponent will be asking something or other. Why he has to put so many opponents or questions of the opponent? This is the main point of contradiction or controversy. Most of the aspirants also cannot come to the conclusion that world is unreal. They are having good intellect, they are having discrimination. So all the possible questions that the aspirants can have in their mind have been put here.
It seems that at this stage of the curriculum, the main thing is the discussion of there is an attempt to prove that the objects of the wakeful states are as unreal as the objects of the dream. And here comes a question. When we come to prove unreality of objects, what is more important, affirmation or negation?
What is?
What is more important, affirmation or negation?
Confirmation or negation?
Swamiji said a moment ago something which I think is very important, which is if we try to prove that the objects of the world are real, we can do it. So usually, sorry, I made a mistake. If we try to prove that the objects of the world are real, we can do it. So there are two ways to go. One is to prove that the objects of the world are unreal, that's one way. Another way is to try to prove that the objects of the world are real. This is another way to go. It seems that if any person tries to prove that the objects of the world are real, he will not be able to do it. Then he comes to the point of negation.
Yes.
Because if I try to prove that they are real, that I cannot do it, then I come to negation. Therefore, they are unreal. So my question is, when in the scripture they are teaching us this process, it seems that the scripture follow the same way, which is adhyasa and apavada. First we affirm, then we negate. This is what we do. So here following this line of argument, the affirmation will be that, try to prove that the objects of the world are real. Then we will come back and we will say we can't. Then, conclusion
is negation.
Negation. So this was what I wanted to bring about.
Previously, we have already discussed this particular point. That's why most of the aspirants, they cannot give up the body consciousness so easily. They cannot give up their ego. They cannot give up the attachments to some of the things. So the scripture says, first adhyaropa. Then afterwards he says negation. Because what you are experiencing, that he is telling by adhyaropa. God has created these, the five elements have come together and everything has been created. Then finally he says, you see, these things are not real. That he negates. For negation is not outside. Because even after everything, we see everything as usual. So, negating what we have presupposed, that the world is real. What we have presupposed. That is, I am not the body, I am not the subtle body, I am not the causal body, I am the seer. So, Sri Ramakrishna says, Neti Neti is the highest teaching of the scriptures. Simply says, Neti Neti. Not this, not this, not this, not this. It has come in Brihadaranyaka, you know well. So, with one Neti, he negates all the gross elements. And with another Neti, he negates all the subtle elements. Or, in other way also he takes the elements with form and without form. Two are without form, the space and air. Three are with form. So one Neti you can use to remove the elements with form and without form. So if the elements are negated, both are negated, it may be subtle or. Then, previously I explained, the opponent comes here. You are telling Neti, Neti. So with one Neti, you negate the world. With another Neti, you negate the Brahman. He says, the void, we have to then accept the void. There will be nobody to see the void or experience. That cannot be there. In that context, we have explained, now a thing is not here. I say, pot is not here. That is abhava of a particular part. But we can see the part in other place. So, to refute the followers of logic, he accepts two, bhava and abhava. Here, we are not seeing anything. But what he says, the abhava of pot is there. I see the floor and I see the connection of the pot and the floor, he says. Wonderful fellow. So, he accepts the abhava as an object. That's why, with one Neti, we refute all the things that are bhava, and in the another Neti, we refute all the abhava also. So, nothing is there like the world. You may tell bhava or abhava, murta or amurta, subtle elements are gross elements, nothing is there. So finally, The negation should start from the individual. That is, he has to negate all the three states and three bodies. And because one cannot negate the existence of one's own self, so the scripture says that is Atman, that is Brahman. He has asked another question in the 12th slok mantra. Why you are taking the support of negation? Na pragyam, na bhaispragyam, na pragyana ghanam. Then he told us, see, the aspirants are so much attached to the world. So what is existing should be negated, because that is their imagination. When you negate that, you can negate easily and you can come to the conclusion that only one thing exists. That's why, and in this connection, I gave you two examples previously, illustration. Kalam jam na bakshayet. Don't eat the flesh of an animal which has died with a poisonous arrow. Afterwards, you are not going to do anything. When you have negated the appearance of the snake, what you are going to do afterwards? Nothing. Confirmation, there is no snake. So the fear is gone. In the same way, when you negate the world, which includes your body consciousness indigo, don't forget this. Outside I am negating everything. You are the seer, you have to negate on which you are attached to, which you are attached. So, when the world is not, means that your body of the three states also is not there. Then only we can conclude that ekameva dvitiyam, neha nanasti kinchana, matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. There is only one thing. Different things are not there. Besides me, nothing is there. We can come to this conclusion. In dream, they are inside and they are mental impressions. They are not clearly manifested, but waking objects are clear because of the contact with the eyes. That is the difference. That is the distinction. But unreality is the same. The logic used is correct. Ataha, it says. Ataha kalpita eva jagrad bhava api swapna bhavavat iti siddham. The objects within the mind in the form of mere mental impressions are unmanifested. But externally they are manifested as objects of sense organs such as the eye. This distinction is not due to the existence of the objects, for such a distinction is seen even in dream. How is it caused then? This is caused only by the difference in organs of perception. But in dream as well as in waking, you are the seer. Hence, it is proved that even the objects in waking state are but products of imagination like those in dream. There are so many spectators in a circus. Or they are seeing a magician. He cuts the body. That cut body also walks. Half a body, having sensation. But do you think you are attached to those things? You simply see and enjoy. So, if you become a witness, nothing can disturb you in this world. Apuryamanamachala pratistam samudramabha pravishanti yadvad tadvad kamayam pravishanti sasanti maproti na kamakami. As all the rivers go and merge in sea, so whatever the impressions of the objects of the outside, they just come and disappear here in the Atman. He sees everything as witness. He alone gets peace. Na kama kami. Even a small desire is there in your mind is disturbed. So, what is the root cause of the world? It is the desire. Sankalpa. Now he is going to tell something. Man imagines. Imagination. Chintan. And then he eats and drinks well, having some satisfaction. Because of the satisfaction, he is having an impression in the mind. Remembrance, it is called smriti. Then he thinks this particular thing has given me satisfaction. That's why the usefulness of the thing is there. First, yes, eaten well and drunk well. What are not other things, of course. And is having satisfaction. And he thinks the eating food gives me satisfaction. That impression is there. And then next day he remembers again. So he goes to the kitchen and starts something preparing to eat. So this process now he is going to tell. This is the gist of this particular stanza. Bahya adhyatmikanam bhavanam iteretara nimitta naimittikataya kalpanayam kim moolam. He says, what is the root of imagining? External and internal objects are mutually related to cause and effect. What is the root of imagining? He says. That is chintan, he says. Even in Gita, what is that sloka? In the end of Sthita Prajna it comes. Kamad bhavati krodha, krodhot bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti brahma. Dhyayeto vishyan pumsaha. Dhyayeto vishyan pumsaha. By thinking of the objects. Sangha sanjayate. Kama krodhot bhavati. Krodhot bhavati sammoha. That all you know well. So what is the root? Dhyayeto vishyan pumsaha. By meditating on the objects, by reflecting on the objects, by thinking of the objects, you get attached to it. Then anger. Then losing the senses because of the anger. Finally, as a man, he has fallen down, he says. He is not a man. Sammoha smriti bhramsat buddhinashat pranasyati, he says. When the mind is not working, he is not a man. He has already destroyed. So, again and again I say, what do I say? Be alert. Apramattena vedhavyam. At each and every moment you should be alert. Of what? Of discrimination. Thinking of the Atman. Don't allow this mind to go here and there. So, what is the root of imagining? External and internal objects are mutually related to cause and effect. That he is asking. Now, let there be unreality of everything. Now the opponent is slowly coming to our side. Let there be unreality of everything. How that imagination. So, he gives Jivam kalpayate purvam tato bhavan pruthagvidhan, page 372. Bahyan adhyatmikanscha yeva yatha vedas tatha smritihi. First of all, he imagines the jiva, individual soul. You see, he has used the capital letters, he and J, jiva. But within the brackets, what he says? Individual soul. So, because he has told he, so don't suddenly go to all-pervading Brahman and I am separate from it. You are one with it. And then he imagines various objects, external and internal. As is a man's knowledge, so is his memory of it. So he imagines, now in the scriptures, yatha karma yatha smrutam, in Kathopanishad Psalms. Whatever you have imagined, in the sense, the meditations, the upasana, the contemplations, which you have done in your previous life, and whatever the actions you have done in your previous life, the total effect of those upasanas and actions, now you got this mind in the present life. Yatha karma, yatha smrutam. So he says, as is a man's knowledge, what is that knowledge? What he has acquired already. Some are in unconscious mind, some are in conscious mind. So he is memory of it. And he gets the memory accordingly, he does the actions. That is why in your meditations, though you want to control your mind, you are not able to control at a stage because of the impressions of the past. Accordingly, mind runs and runs. When all the vibrations are taken out, all the vibrations, impressions of the mind, when you clear, then the mind becomes still. Because no oscillation. So, first a desire should be there, that previously we told, yearning. Yearning. I want to experience myself here and now with tenacity. You should have this confirmative idea, notion. Yes, in this very life, I want to see what is inside, what is Atma. Then accordingly you will act. Otherwise, you will be simply getting attached to this thing and that thing and this thing. And the span of life is gone. The time is tick, 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 is going on, it never stops. For you or for God or for anybody. It always tick, 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 tick. Every moment, every second is going away. You cannot bring it back. So previously I told, be alert, act, and live in the present, but not in the past or future. I told you. So what we did previously, the meditations, the upasana, and the actions, that is the knowledge here. With that knowledge, so is memory. And he imagines various objects, external and internal. Everything is inside his mind. See, you put so many things before a small baby of 12 months or 15 months, something like that. You put a knife, you put a book, you put a pen, you put some gold, you put some silver, something. So he catches only one thing. He will not take all. That is, according to his deep impressions, he gets attracted. So, in India, it is a custom. In the boyhood, they used to infer what he will be in future. If he takes a book, he becomes a reader. If he takes a pen, he becomes a writer. If he takes the gold ornaments, he becomes a businessman. Something like that. Jivam kalpayate purvam. How the individual is created? Because of his past. Tat sushtva tadeva anupravishet. Again he says, Atman by ignorance imagines everything. In the beginning he creates himself. See. Atman, because of ignorance. We are here means ignorance is there. Otherwise you might have released. Why we should come here? No release so far. Everything. In the beginning he creates the jiva. Jiva kalpayate purvam. Jivam kalpayate purvam. Again he creates the body and enters into it. Only one Atman you are telling. Who is creating and who is entering? Your statement is not correct. Tat sushtva tadeva anupravishat. And scripture says. So, we have to take into consideration that ignorant people are there. They think the body is real. So, to make them understand, God has created your body and He has entered into you and you are not different from Him. To make them understand, the statement is given in the scripture, Tas sushtva tadeva anupravishat. After preparing the pot, the space has not entered into the pot. Space is already there. Like that, Atman is everywhere. So, but he says here, first he creates tato bhavan puthak vidan. He imagines various objects. Bhavan puthak vidan. By this scripture, he alone enters into the individual. He alone is there. Besides him, nothing else is there. So, only a small thing is there in between. The creator and the individual, that is the mind. Eradicate the mind, remove the mind, you are one with him. and becomes the form of a man. Afterwards, though that jiva created different objects, the knowledge and remembrance varies, so different jivas, because of the past. The knowledge and remembrance varies, so we see different jivas. The question to be refuted is told by sloka. What the question? He says, what is the root of imagining? That is the question. So, bahyan adhyatmikan seva yatha vidya tata smritihi. The question, he says, the objects as means and end stay outside. The objects are outside. He says, if I get this thing, I will be happy. So that is the end and the means to get it. Happiness and sorrow, knowledge and ignorance, attachment, detachment, stay inside the body, in the mind. For them, cause and effect is there. So for both the outside objects and inside the objects, cause and effect is there. He says, outside objects are the cause for the inside ones.
Who is the one that says outside objects are the cause of the
Ignorant person.
ignorant person?
See, from the standpoint of the absolute, then they realize it. According to Gaudapada Ajatmada, nothing is there as creation. So, we are talking from the standpoint of view of an ignorant person. For the realized person, nothing is there. Outside objects are cause for the inside ones. Depending on them, the others, other imaginations, they sprout. To do some particular action, he has to get in contact with so many persons, so many things he has to do, and some more impressions he will be taking. That is the root cause, has to be told for imaginations of both outside as well as for the inside objects. That means, he says, the objects as means and ends stay outside. Happiness, sorrow, and knowledge, they stay inside. And the cause and effect is there. Outside objects are the cause for the inside objects. Depending on them, the other imagination sprout. That is the root cause, has to be told for imaginations of both outside as well as inside objects. Without root cause, if we consider, it will be something equal to a sky flower, he says. Akasha Kusuma. Some cause should be there. You want to ask something?
Swamiji, this may not be appropriate because my question is about the Brahma Sutra Bhashya. We didn't study it, so it may not be appropriate, but it has some relation to what we learned. In the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, Shankaracharya, when he speaks about the dream state,
Deep.
he says that the objects of the dream state are being formed by samskaras, by impressions that we create when we are awake. That's what he says. So it seems as if he says that the external becomes the cause of the internal. this regard, he seems to take a position which is opposite to the position of Gaudapada. Because Gaudapada goes the other direction. So, Swamiji said that ignorant people think that the external objects are the causes of the internal. Adi Shankaracharya in the Bhashya says, samskaras that we form while we are awake are the causes of the formation of the dream objects. How do we reconcile it?
This, in the beginning I told, yatha karma yatha srutam. The man, when he takes birth, already the two types of mind is there in him. So some impressions are manifested, some are not manifested. But if not in this life, in this previous life, seeing the outside objects, he got some impressions inside. Now recently he was telling that showing a small girl, that I was in particular village, I am this particular lady. How the impressions have come? In the very beginning. So what Shankara says is correct. Is in general way he says, the outside is the cause for the inside. That may be a store of impressions as unconscious, subconscious mind, or in the waking state, or in the previous life, or now, whatever it may be. A store of impressions are there. How they have formed because of this. So he gives a generalization that outside objects are the cause for the inside. So, but Shankara, he accepts three planes: absolute, relative, and appearance. But Gaudapada just goes only absolute. That's all.
The fourth chapter, it is Ajatavada. Nothing has been created, it is only due to the ignorance that we feel as it seems it is created. Ajatavada.
You see, he is the grand guru of Shankaracharya. But when everybody cannot go to this Ajatavada, and everybody cannot deny the present existence of the world. That's why Shankara comes down a little. He wanted to do the good for all. That's why so many stotras he writes, and so many small books, Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, so many things he writes, all these things. He wanted to lift even Bhajagovindam. How the Bhajagovindam started? The old man started getting by heart the sutras of the aphorisms of Vyakarna, Dukring Karane, Dukring Karane, Dukring Karane. The root verb is Dukring. That is, the meaning is Karane, action. He sees, Shankara, you are already old, 75, 80. When you will learn the grammar, when logic, when Purvamimamsa, so at this stage, you have to just remember God, Bhaja Govinda. But this, the people make misinterpretation. Shankaracharya simply remember God. And which context he told? For a old man who is about to visit the grave. For him he told, not to you and me. You are young, you can read grammar, you can digest, you think, you meditate on the scriptures. So then why he has to write? He simply Bhajagovindam he should have written, and there he might have finished his all writings. So, two things. You should know the context, one thing, and never take the relative objects into the absolute and never bring or use the absolute in relative plane. Oh, everything is Brahman, we can do everything. Hey, wonderful fellow. Everything is Brahman in absolute plane, not in relative plane. In relative plane, everything you should follow. Why a Krishna or Rama should follow so many rules? God himself. That means to show in relative plane, an individual should follow all these rules to show. So, don't jump from the absolute to the relative and relative to the absolute. Do where you are. We have not jumped to the absolute. We have not given up the body consciousness. We have not given up the ego and simply talking everything is Brahman. What will happen? Eh? This is full number one. We have to consider him as a. That's why one should possess the knowledge. And especially, previously also I told, Taittiriya says, Srutriya Sechaka Mahatasya. Men of knowledge of scriptures and without any desire is the eligible aspirant to experience Brahman. Only two important rules he says. Possessing the scriptural knowledge and desirelessness. But if you go to Bradaranyaka, he says avrijina. Avrijinaha. That is, give up all the desires of subconscious mind also. That's why Krishna uses prajahati yada kaman sarvan manogatan. Everything is inside the mind. Nothing is there in the Atman. But you have to cleanse the mind. Sarvan. In the conscious state, in the subconscious state, and in the form of impressions, in the form of desires, in the form of deep attachment. All the things you have to give up. He gives the reply through the explanation of sloka. Uchyate. First of all, he imagines the jiva, he says, of the nature of cause and effect. Jivam hetu phalatmakam. Only this much he wrote. Then he says, aham karomi, I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, and I am having so many things with me. Mama, mine. Sukha dukkhe, these are all my difficulties, this is my sorrow. Ityevam lakshanam, all these things he imagines. For the imagination of cause and effect, the pure Atman is the cause as well as for the individual imagination. This we have already explained. Sun is the Atman and the pond water is ignorance and the ignorance blossoms as the lotus. Sun, as long as water is there in the pond, it helps to blossom the lotus. But as soon as water is dried up, the same sun burns the lotus into ashes.
When it says he imagines,
Uh,
who is the he?
He's told
Atmadeva.
individual soul.
Swayameva
In
Atmadeva.
Atmadeva means in Swapana, but individual soul, he says.
In the subcommentary, Swayameva Jiva Bhavam Apadyate. Self, individual self, Atma, self.
Anena. So the cause and effect, the pure Atman is the cause as well as for the. To stand, there should be some base. So where is the mind? And mind is working, though it is inert. Mind is inert, but it is working. How it is working? Taking the light of the Atman. So he says, what is the cause of ignorance? It is the light of the Atman. So, what is the cause for the knowledge? Experienced in the light of the Atman. For imagination, the support is necessary. That is, he explains through the illustration. Rajva viva sarpam kalpyate. But in our text, Rajvam iva is the words. But here, Rajva viva. That the second case ending he has put there, whatever it may be. So, imagination, for the imagination, the support is necessary. Where from the mind is imagining, the support is no other than Atman. That he is telling through illustration as like a snake imagined in a rope. Rajvamiva sarpaha. Now, bahyan adhyatmikanscha eva. That is the third. That he is going to explain. Tataha iti. Tataha tadarthena kriyakara ka phalabhedena. Then, for its sake, he imagines various objects, excellent internal, such as prana and the rest in different forms as action, its factors and results. Actions, its factors and results. I want to do some action, what are the factors I want? If I want to have the satisfaction of eating, I should cook, and so many things are necessary. Like that. First, he imagined Jiva. Through the Jiva, that is the root for all imagination, even then, the particular imagination cannot be without a special cause. So that he is asking. A particular imagination cannot be in existence without a cause. Tatra kalpanayam ko hetu. You said the individual is imagining. And he has imagined and he created so many objects outside, inside, mind, and so many factors, so many actions, everything. Now, what is the ground for this imagination? Tatra. Uchyate is giving the answer. Yosau swayam kalpito jiva sarva kalpanayam adhikrita sa yatha vidyaha yadrishi vidya vijnanamasya iti yatha vidyaha. This only I was explaining. upasana, whatever he did regarding the self-realization, yatha vidya. This jiva that is imagined by the Lord and is himself able to imagine obtains a memory in accordance with the knowledge he possesses. That is to say, in such proportion as the knowledge he possesses, he obtains memory. Now he says the reminder for Kalpita in a special way is the owner. Now the subcommentar says Sesha, reminder, what is in the mind. As a residue, what is it? As a residue. So, is in a special way, he says, he is the owner for imaginations, and whatever is there in the mind, the reminder, he is the owner because he is imagining. To end the explanation of this sloka, here he has used iti. Now he is explaining the present imagination, ata ityadina. The third line of the commentaries, iti, with this explanation of the stanza is over. Above 4 lines and here. So ataha, that is further explanation. This is explained by the subcommentator. Hetu kalpana vijnanat phala vijnanam. From the knowledge of imagination that serves as the cause, results in knowledge of effect. Hetu. Hetu phala smriti tataha tad vijnanam. And from that knowledge, the causal relation results in memory of the cause and effect. Tadartha kriya karaka tat phala veda vijnanani. And from that again follows its knowledge and also the knowledge of action, its factors and the different results accruing from them. Tadat kriyakaraka tat phalabheda vijnanani tebhya smriti tasmutesya punah tad vijnanani ityevam. Like this. In this manner he imagines various objects, external and internal, which actually become the cause and effects. Now here subcommentary is telling something. If they are not there, then there is no satisfaction. If the objects are not there, there is no satisfaction. By logical positive and negative assertion, anvay vyatireka, positive and negative assertion, food etc. are the reasons for imaginary knowledge. Then satisfaction is the result. And the satisfaction, he says, that is also imaginary. Kalpana Vijnana. Through some objects he gets satisfaction at times, and with the same objects he is not getting satisfaction. Next day he remembers the cause and result of the knowledge to do the action. First he has taken food and now he wanted to have the satisfaction of taking food, so he starts preparing. Then for satisfaction starts cooking. That is factors. So he gathers all the fruits, vegetables, bread, everything. Then through result, he gets special knowledge, then remembers the cause, then he does action and gets the results. In this way, he imagines both external and internal. Internal is satisfaction, external objects. Objects, the factors, all these things. He is
The satisfaction here will be the effect.
effect. Oh. Present. So now is closing the present topic, Vikshepa Ataha. He says, Evam, where is it? Evam bahyan adhyatmikansya iteretar nimitta naimittika bhavena anekada kalpyate. The outer and inner as the effect and cause, he will be imagining so many things in this way. The imagination is due to ignorance. Imagination is due to ignorance. Now I am seeing a snake on the rope. This ignorance is having two parts, avarana and vikshepa. First, it has covered the rope. Then we see the snake. So, covering the rope is called the avarana portion of the ignorance. And showing that as snake is called vikshepa. First, there is no grahana of the rope, agrahana. Agrahana, not able to identify. That is called avarana. And then comes anyatha grahana. So, when we see a snake on the rope, both the things are there. Agrahana and anyatha grahana. Agrahana of the rope, anyatha grahana of the snake. This they have divided the impression which you call ignorance is having two parts. That we have already discussed. Agrahana, anyatha grahana in making all these things. Now he is explaining cause for jiva kalpana through this stanza. Anishita yatha rajur andhakare vikalpita sarpadaradibhir bhavai tadvadatma vikalpita. He says, just as a rope, the nature of which is not known in dark. The nature of the rope is not known in the dark. Is imagined to be things such as a snake, a water line, etc. So too is the self imagined as various things. So when imagination comes to still, is in Atman. Still, S-T-I-L-L, still. Stand still. So the imagination, if it is stopped, no ignorance. Coming. Don't worry. To explain the meaning of this sloka, he repeats what was told tatra. Tatra jiva kalpana sarva kalpana moolam iti uktam. There, in the previous verses, it has been said that the imagination of Jiva is the source of all other imaginations. All other imagination. Imagination of Jiva, it cannot be real. The cause should be explained for imagination. If it is real, it cannot be removed. If it is, and it is not matter, the ignorance is not a matter, or it is not a thing, then we have to think that there is no cause for imagination, if it is not matter. And it cannot be proved because it is not matter. Then we can think of the effect also. We cannot think of the effect also. With this doubt, he is asking, Saiva Jiva Kalpana Kim Nimitta? If you say ignorance, ignorance is a it is not an object. I cannot see it. Then how to know? It is undefinable. How a snake is there on the rope? If it is not there, we should not see. If it is there, we should run away. Or take the silver on the mother pearl. If it is not there, we should not see. If it is there, we should take silver. When you go there, nothing is there. So now, what you say, whether the silver is there or not, it is there, it is there, it is not there. How? Two statements on one thing. Before realization, ignorance is there. Because of ignorance, I saw the silver. Seeing the effect, we conclude the cause. Something is there that we call as ignorance. Saiva Jiva Kalpana Kinnimitta iti Dushtantena Pratipadayati. The imagination of Jiva, he says, it cannot be real. The cause should be explained for imagination. If it is real, it cannot be removed. If you think, I am in bondage and my bondage is real, then there is no release, no moksha. If it is not, and it is not matter to know, then we have to think that there is no cause for imagination. If it is not, and it cannot be proved also if it is not matter. If we can think of the effect also, with this doubt he is asking, what is the cause? He is asking that the imagination of Jiva is the source of all other imaginations. So, imagination of Jiva is the source of all other imaginations. Jiva Kalpana Kinnimitta. What is the root cause for the imagination of the individual? Drishtantena Pratipadayati. This illustration is giving the answer. By special form of the rope itself. Not understanding is being explained. Rope is there. We are not understanding it as rope. So we see the snake. Yatha loke svena rupena anisitan avadharita evam iti. In day-to-day life, we have not understood a particular thing and thing as the snake, etc., we see. He could not understand that this is rope. For that, what is the reason? He says, Rajju manda andhakare kim sarpa udakadhara dandaiti. The rope is in darkness. That's why he could not understand. Because he is in darkness of ignorance, he is not understanding the Atman. Bas, very simple. Because of the ignorance, for something he is supposing something. Atasmin tad buddhi. Before understanding the form of rope, in imagining the snake, positive and negative assertions are told with their material cause. If rope is there only, we should not see the snake. If snake is there, we have to see the snake only. If they are not there, we cannot see. If rope is not there, how can you see the snake? Something should be there to see the snake. So something should be there for your imagination. That is Atman. The mind is getting the light, self-illuminous light from the Atman, the mind. As the vegetables are boiling and jumping because of the fire, the fire is put off, all the vegetables, they sleep. The mind is jumping all through the day, taking the support and light of the Atma.
But there is no darkness.
That ignorance is darkness. Thinking for something. You are the Atman and you think always I am the body. That is ignorance, that is darkness. You should not take everything of the illustration into the literal meaning. There darkness, here ignorance. Why we have to read so much? Headache. To understand the real thing as it is. Only one Atman is there, world is not real. अंधकारे किम सर्पोदकारा दंडयति वा अनेकदा विकल्पिता भवति पूर्व स्वरूप अनिश्चय निमित्तम. What is there of its previous nature, form, he has not seen. That's why he sees as the snake. This is explaining through negative assertion. यदि पूर्वमेव रज्जु स्वरूपेण निश्चिता स्यात्. If you see the rope as the rope, then there will be no snake. If you see Atman as Atman, then there is no world. न सर्पादि विकल्पो अभविष्यत् यथा स्वहस्त अंगुल्यादिषु. Even in darkness, you can feel your hand and fingers. You feel it or not? In the same way, if ignorance is not there, you should feel the Atman. I am the Atman. न सर्पाद विल्को अभिष यथा स्वहस्त अंगुल्यादिषु एष दृष्टान्तः. A man particular with the name Devadatta can see his hand with affirmation, Nishchaya. If he could see the rope, then there is no imagination. If you could see the rope, the children, you see, they don't understand. Even if a snake is there, they want to go and catch it. So many insects they see, they want to catch it. They don't know it bites or something. They don't know. So if you know it is a rope, then there is no appearance. That's what he meant to say. So if you could see the rope, then there is no imagination as snake. So we conclude because of this ignorance of the rope, he sees the snake. Now after explaining the illustration, he tells what is to be explained, drashtanta. Through the illustration, for that he is explaining fourth part of this sloka. That is, tadvad atma vikalpitaha. That is it. Tadvat hetu phaladi samsara dharma anartha vilakshanataya svena visuddha vigyapti matra sattadvaya rupena. No cause, no effect of imagination. Then there is no world. There is nothing, usefulness is there. Svena visuddha vigyapti matra. And the self is different from this unreal world. That he means visuddha vigyapti matra satta. Satta dvaya rupena. It is having the existence in the two planes. That is going to tell. Now, hetu phaladiti adi sabdena, etc. denotes doership, enjoyership, and other things. See? Hatred, malice, attachment, all these things. Adi. Hetu phala adi. All these things comes under the spell of worldliness. Attachment, the distinction is shown, svena. But what is the distinction? Besides this, the Atman is there. That it is Vishuddha Vigyapti Matra. It is pure and it is pure knowledge. It is bliss and no sorrow in it. The nature of the self with superimposition is shown. So, when you say Visuddhi, pure, without birth and death, without form, but as Atman, as it is not having any birth or death, other things. Satta. Satta means existence. So, your existence proves the existence of God. And you are not different from that. What Vedanta teaches. Thinking that there is no happiness as Atman, he explains, Advaya is only the thing which is full of bliss. That's why as soon as satsanga is over, you run to your bedroom. Existence, knowledge, bliss, non-dual, Atman. Because of ignorance, duality is seen. For that, he is giving proof because of ignorance. He says, Ityesha sarvopanishadam siddhantaha anischitatvat jiva pranadhi ananta bhavam bhedair atma vikalpitaha. Because the self is not experienced, he sees so many things. He sees prana, vital force, the body, all these things. So this has been explained in all the scriptures. The scriptures telling about non-duality are found here and there. Yatra hi dvaitameva bhavati. When he sees the duality, he will be having fear. Telling the duality is unreal. And scriptures, the duality and its superimposition also, scriptures say, duality and its superimposition. The non-duality is real one. Duality is due to ignorance is proved. What is decided by the argument of the opponent and the answering skillful wise person is called Siddhanta. Now, after so much of discussion, self is real, the imagination in the mind is unreal. Because of the imaginations of the mind, you are dragging the self from birth to death and death to birth. Don't forget. Asuryana amate lokandhena tamsavrita. A simple desire, to fulfill it, you may have to take so many births. A simple desire. It will drag you from birth to death and death to birth. As it happens in common parlance, that a rope whose real nature is not known, as such, mist-like darkness is imagined variously as a snake, a water line or a stick, on account of one's not knowing its real nature. For if the rope has been known earlier itself in its real nature, then the wrong notion of snake, etc. would not arise. As for example, there is no such notion regarding the fingers of one's own hand. Similarly, the self is imagined as infinitely different objects such as jiva, prana, since it is not known in its real nature as pure essence of knowledge, existence and non-duality. So, this is the particular cause for imagination. And as distinct from such evils as cause and effect, which are attributes of transmigration. This is the settled fact of all Upanishads. And as distinct from such evils as cause and effect. This particular existence and knowledge is beyond cause and effect. Cause is ignorance, effect is the worldliness, and the Atman is beyond. No ignorance, no effect, no cause. Like that, he says. So we have finished the 17th. 18th we will do tomorrow.